What's up, Warport family? It's your boy C Dub. It's been the most popular question asked about Auburn football, and we ask you tonight: did Hugh Freeze make the correct decision in sticking with Payton Thorne? Me and Mike G is going to break that down for you and discuss other topics tonight. Tonight's edition of the Midweek Rapport. Hump Day, everyone. Happy Hump Day.
Hey.
Welcome to the Midweek Report, sponsored by our sponsor, Opelika Rage Room. Guys, before we get into it, share this video, hit that like button, and please subscribe to the channel. We want to give some love to our sponsor, Opelika Rage Room. You see the address there. If you're in the Opelika area, please stop by there. The address, break some stuff. Guys, this is the place where you can break some things, relieve that stress, and no one's calling the police on you. All right. Great opportunity to do that, especially if you're in the Birmingham area. You see the address below. Opelika Rage Room, Birmingham Rage Room has been a show sponsor of us for a minute. We want to say thanks to them for continuing to do that. Support us by supporting them. So please stop by either of those places. Mike G, tell the people how they can get a green name.
Hey.
And how they can gift a great name.
Look, guys, I'm out in Dallas right now. I've been telling you guys all month that I was going to be in Dallas. Ike is in Dallas. So I'm on the show tonight. Ike is off doing media day things. But look, man, you can keep us in Dallas or the next Dallas. I think it's in Atlanta next year. This is in Atlanta next year. $5.99 a month, guys. Join as a patron to become part of the Green Name Gang here at the War Report. We love our Green Name Gang. There's a reason we're able to make this trip. Also, you can give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button and helping us build our community. So help us build that Green Name Gang by hitting that gifted membership button. Check us out on podcasts, every single podcast network that's out there, Caesar, Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen to podcasts on, the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec. Lots of great audio-only content for you guys. Also, this show is brought to you in part by JOYMODE. Enjoy 20% off plus free shipping with code Rapport at usejoymode.com. Let's call out the obvious. Everyone wants to head into the bedroom with confidence, feeling like the best version of themselves. The problem is sometimes our thoughts get in the way of our performance, or maybe we feel like we're just not reaching our full potential. What are our options? Pick a sketchy gas station pill. You guys are tripping me out on the last podcast, calling out the gas station pill. Or get a prescribed drug with a long list of side effects. That's where our friends over at JOYMODE come in. Imagine a supplement you can take like your favorite greens packet that gives you the extra dose of confidence and saves you the embarrassment and hassle of the traditional erection pill. Visit JOYMODE, use joymode.com. Use code Rapport for 20% off plus free shipping. Also, guys, this segment is brought to you in part by Vintage 2298 Restaurant and Butcher Shop. Please visit them at 2298 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama. If you're looking for some good eats in the Auburn area, Vintage has you covered. Our guy, Randall Baldwin, is cooking up all the good stuff over there. If you have never had elk, they got elk. And I'm telling you, it is both delicious and nutritious. Visit Vintage 2298 at 2298 East University in Auburn, Alabama. We appreciate them for sponsoring the show.
Yeah, the elk is legendary for sure.
Legendary.
It's yeah. Things legends are made of. Mike, you're down in Dallas.
I am.
A lot of talk about Payton Thorne.
Yeah, that's all anybody wants to talk about. That's all anybody wants to talk about here.
Payton Thorne. Now, it's interesting because there seems to be a bit of a difference in terms of the sentiment from a lot. I'm not going to say all Auburn fans, but there's a contingency of Auburn fans who are down on Payton Thorne based on how Auburn played and performed last year. But when you talk to a lot of people, a lot of people actually don't share that same opinion of Payton Thorne in terms of what he can do this year. Have you been kind of surprised by that, Mike, in terms of who you talk to?
Yeah, look, man, if you see our interview list, Caesar, it's extensive. I mean, everybody from Roman Harper to Cole Kublik, Josh Pate, JD Piquel over on 3. And I'm telling you, everybody wants to talk about Payton Thorne. Now, he got selected to come here to media days, which we felt like was a big deal. You don't, and let me tell you, everybody's bringing their quarterback, right? So you don't want to be the only one showing up to the potluck without a dish, and the quarterback is the dish. So Payton Thorne has made the trip. Hugh Freeze has said repeatedly that he has faith in Payton Thorne. And, it seems like the media is picking up that narrative, but fans are not picking up that narrative. So the dichotomy between the two aren't translating right now. You got fans on one side saying, why didn't we get a quarterback in the portal? And then you got Hugh Freeze and all the media and other coaches saying, listen, we expect a different version of Payton Thorne in 2024. Which one do you believe? Well, I think we're going to watch some things to see which part of that is more true.
Now, you caught Hugh Freeze recently at an event where he was asked about Payton Thorne. We have a clip here, and we're going to roll it, come back, and then discuss it, because Hugh Freeze made some pretty strong statements regarding his QB.
He did.
For 2024. Let's check it out.
Coach Payton Thorne's been a big topic at media days this week. What do you need to see from him before the season starts to get to where he needs to be?
I've been pleased with everything I've seen with him from January until now. I think what we need to see from him is a lot of people around him making plays when the opportunity arises, and him making the correct decisions and throwing accurate balls and deciphering whether it's a run or a throw is what we're trying to do. And I'm really a Payton Thorne fan as a leader and as a young man, and I'm excited and cautiously optimistic that you're going to see a good product from him.
And
there's Zach with what is that in your lap?
He brought me a unicorn because I'm one of one. Yes, here at Media Days. One of one.
So is Zach.
Zach Blackerby, ladies and gentlemen. Go watch Locked On Auburn, by the way, for more of this foolishness.
Hilarious. So some strong statements from Hugh Freeze, right? Some strong statements for Hugh. And then again, he sounds very definitive about Payton Thorne in year 2, Mike, right?
He does.
And I don't know if it's because he has to be, or if there's truly he's seeing something that he needs to see from Payton Thorne. Obviously, he's seeing the right things off the field, right? From January to now, he's raved about his leadership and how he's been a leader in the locker room, a leader in the team. But he said something that I thought was very important, and which is what we're all wanting to see, Mike, is when he steps onto the field, will he make the right read? Will he make the right play? Will he throw an accurate ball? All of the things that we needed to see from him, didn't quite see enough of it in year 1. Will we see that in year 2? And I think everybody is waiting to see that. Your thoughts?
Look, I've been on the record, Caesar, of saying that I think that we're going to see a different Payton Thorne in 2024. I think he's going to be closer to 2021 Payton Thorne than he was to 2023 Payton Thorne. But I've also been pretty adamant about saying his regression wasn't about him just forgetting how to play quarterback. This, Caesar, has been about a system that was disjointed, where they fired the offensive coordinator in the offseason because it was so bad. Everybody suffered, but I think Payton Thorne suffered disproportionately from the mess that was Auburn's offense. And when we talked to Hugh Freeze over here at the Auburn ambush event, so they're doing this thing where they travel around the country, and they had one in Houston and they were here today. And since they were a mile from us, we decided to pop in and say, hey, listen, we're going to talk to Hugh Freeze tomorrow, but let's get some extra comments from the head coach here on this thing. And he said, look, man, it wasn't good last year. We're going to post a whole clip of that presser. It was only about 10, 15 minutes. But he said it wasn't good, and we've got to do better, right? So he has to do better for Payton Thorne. Auburn has to do better for Payton Thorne. This thing was like, and mind you, I'm not saying that it was all on them. Payton Thorne obviously had some things that he could do better as a quarterback, but that's the guy he was when he came here. Low 60% completion percentage says a lot of room for improvement. That's the guy you recruited. You knew that. So it's unfair when he is that guy to blame him for the dysfunction on your offense.
Right.
You recruited that guy, and then you blamed him for being the guy that you recruited. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, that's where I'm at here with this thing. Everybody's going to ask Hugh Freeze about this tomorrow. Payton Thorne's going to be making the rounds. He's likely going to sit down with us tomorrow. And, he's nothing new here. We've already sat down with Payton Thorne. So we've got the story. There's nothing new I can ask Payton Thorne at this point about, except for like, hey, man, do you feel even better than you felt the last time I talked to you?
Right.
He's always been supremely confident in himself. Payton Thorne has never lost confidence in himself, ever. And I think that can't be understated. He has never thought, you know what, I don't know if I can play quarterback anymore. He knows how to play quarterback. Now, he's got to be better. And I think that if he wants to play at the next level, he knows that he's got to improve his game. Nobody's accused him of being NFL ready right now. But certainly 1,700 yards is a floor that you cannot hit as a starter in the SEC, right? You just can't do that. You can't do that and win games consistently. And we saw it rear its head. I just don't think it was all on Payton Thorne. I think that now they have the alignment that they want. I don't know why Harsin did it too. You went out and you got an offensive coordinator that didn't match your offensive philosophy in year one. Why does Auburn keep doing that? Is that a uniquely Auburn problem?
Yes.
Goodness, man, just you hired the guy, you paid him $6 million a year. Let him just do what he does. If him and Philip Montgomery did not see eye to eye to this point, how did he end up here? I don't get it. I don't understand, but that clearly had a negative effect on Payton Thorne. And I think that when you remove that from the equation, Payton Thorne increases in production. Now, Hugh Freeze has got to give him his pass attempts back. He ran the ball way too much last year, and he didn't want to run the ball that much. He said, when I asked him about this, he said, I certainly hope I'm not running the ball that much this year. He wants to throw it. So let him throw it.
Well, again, I think with Montgomery being in the picture and the offense being so disjointed, we saw that. We didn't have the context that we have now, right? But it explains why the offense was so disjointed and why you saw a lot of 3 and outs, why the offense just never seemed to get any type of rhythm. And when it did get rhythm, Hugh Freeze took credit for it, right? He was involved with the play calling in the offense that week or whatnot. But it just seems to me as if Auburn, and I think you talked about it with Zach earlier this week with some of the content. Go check that out if you haven't seen it already. Zach made a great point about if Auburn is on the field more than what they were last year, there's going to be opportunities for Payton Thorne to make
exactly
throws, right?
Exactly.
You're going 3 and out, and if you're trying to protect your quarterback, that's going to significantly reduce the amount of throws or opportunities Payton will have to make throws. But if you're running your offense with confidence and you're moving the chains, there goes the opportunities to get those pass attempts that we need to see the pass yards go up to where we expected it to be in year one when Payton Thorne arrived.
Yeah, I agree. The pass attempts just have to go up. You took those pass attempts away from him because you claimed that you did not have faith in the pass catchers. Right? Now, I think that's true for some pass catchers and not for others. But just the same way that Payton Thorne suffered from the terrible system, why wouldn't that be true for the pass catchers?
Right.
Now, obviously, you want next level talent, right? But there was a level of production that they could have gotten out of the guys that they had last year, and they didn't get that out of them. The system failed everybody in 2023. Can't stress that enough.
Sure.
Not just Payton. Now, he was the most high profile, so he took a lot of the blame. But the truth is, everybody suffered from it. Hugh Freeze had to do better for them. And I think
the system made sure that no one was going to truly prosper in this offense. You may have made some plays here and there, but it was still severely going to limit or undermine your effectiveness.
Yeah, the system literally said, hey, guys, go out there and be not great. Like, that was the system in 2023. So, for a guy who's cut his cloth as a head coach, play calling and developing QBs, we didn't seem to see any of that last year. Now, what he did do was he put his energy into recruiting. And that thing took off because that's where he put his energy. Now you got to divert some of that energy here to the guys that you have. And I think you'll see that because a lot of those guys are guys that he's recruited and not guys that he's inherited. There was I stand by what I said about how I think Hugh Freeze failed a lot of the guys that he inherited. I do. I'm sorry. Like you will not. There's no story you can tell me about 2023 where Hugh Freeze did right by the players that he had last year. And his core belief was a lot of these guys aren't good enough. So he coached them like they weren't good enough. I don't think that was fair to them. I think there were some guys who effectively wasted their last year of eligibility at Auburn last year. But we're past that now. Now you got your guys. What are you going to do with them? Still some holdovers, right? But if you're a holdover at this point, you're probably good enough.
Right.
Or you were gone. So, we'll see. We'll see where this ends up, man. I don't know where.
Or you just didn't see where you would fit in where this offense is or this team is currently, right?
Right. So
you talked to Cole Kublik, and Cole Kublik made what I thought was a pretty strong statement.
Oh, he did.
He said that he was more concerned about the defense than the offense. I don't remember the last time I've heard an Auburn person say that, Mike. When it comes to Auburn football, I'm more worried about Auburn's defense than the offense. Now, Auburn has lost a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. Don't get me wrong. But we have been concerned about the offense, I think, ever since Jarrett Stidham in 2017. So what is it that he's seeing and other pundits are seeing with Auburn in year 2 that gives them hope that Auburn will take a step forward with Payton Thorne and with the offense overall?
All these guys are plugged in, and so they hear what Hugh Freeze is saying. Some of them are kind of just echoing and parroting what the head coach is saying. And he understands, Hugh Freeze understands that he's got to project confidence in his team because that's not what he projected last year.
Right.
It's not what he projected last year. And so, now you're in year 2 of this. You've got to start to show some bravado. You've got to start to show some solid confidence. And I think that he learned that lesson. And he said, you know what? We didn't go out and get a portal QB. And we've decided to put our weight behind Payton Thorne. Now I have to show it. Now, we've said this on previous shows. Not bringing Payton Thorne to media days would have been an absolute disaster. Right? Because everything you said about him the last few weeks about, how he's high football IQ and he's doing everything at the right level, it would have meant nothing if you had left him at home. So you had to bring him. Now that he's here, what are they going to do with him?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of these pundits, what they're seeing is that Hugh Freeze has a better plan for Payton Thorne this year than he had for Payton Thorne last year. They see Camp Coleman. They see Keandre Lambert-Smith, and they think that those guys are going to be an instant upgrade for him. Now, we saw what he did with Keon Coleman and those guys, and it looked pretty good. It was still low 60%, right? That's where it was at. By the percentages, it was still right what we saw last year. But if you give him those pass attempts, and listen, man, if Cam Coleman isn't one of the most targeted wide receivers in the SEC next year, the Auburn has messed up.
Yeah.
Short of injury, if he's not one of the most targeted wide receivers, they are doing something extremely wrong. You got to give him his opportunities. You got to give him his targets, and you got to give it to him often. And you just live or die with the results of that. Top 5 overall recruit. If you don't give him the opportunity to catch the ball, he's out of here. And all that hubbub about that 2024 class means nothing. Think about the class that Texas A&M had a few years ago, Caesar, where they recorded all these 5 stars, and most of those guys are gone.
Yeah.
Let me not say most. A lot of those guys are gone. And they didn't stay there because there was not a lot of opportunity to shine at Texas A&M.
And I think you had a lot of dysfunction
around
that team as well, especially offensively. Guys didn't, again, to your point, didn't get opportunities to really show what they can do. They were promised a lot, but A&M wasn't able to deliver. Auburn has to deliver with this class.
That's right.
Any other thoughts about Hugh Freeze in this again. Do you believe the pundits are parroting what Hugh Freeze is saying? Do you believe Hugh Freeze in terms of his confidence in Payton Thorne, or is he just trying to get to year 3?
That's such a great question. That's such a great question. Do I believe Hugh Freeze when he says, you know what, I think Payton's the guy, right? The answer is yes. And here's why. Because I think that if you look at his history of coaching quarterbacks, it's been recruit the skill positions at a high level and put the quarterback back there and let him eat and let those guys help him eat. The DJ Metcalfs, right? Like, what's the guy? AJ Browns, those guys, right? Like,
right.
The Laquan Treadwells. You recruit these guys, and you let them eat. Even Evan Ingram at tight end,
right?
Like, he's had dogs at those positions. That's what he's used to. So he went out and got himself some dogs, and he said, you know what? Now Payton Thorne is going to be 30% better because I just gave him dogs to play with. Now, in that same presser, he asked for patience, right? And we'll listen to that clip later for some of these young guys. But, I think that he thinks that Cam Coleman is so much better, even as a freshman, than anything Auburn had on his roster, that he is an instant upgrade from day one. But he's trying to temper expectations, but he also internally, I think he believes that they are better than he's even saying. Right? He's just not trying not to let the rat poison come in and get his team. But, based on some conversations I had, I think that Hugh Freeze thinks he's better right now with his team than what he's projecting in the media. We'll see how
quiet confidence then.
Quiet confidence, yeah.
A quiet confidence. So which means he's seeing some things come together that has affected his messaging going into media days and beyond.
Yes, 100%. So he thinks he's better. I would argue there's an internal belief that 9 or 10 games are not out of the question. That's how much between the talent they brought in and the changes in the system that I think that they believe in what they've done.
His system has worked everywhere he's been, Mike. Everywhere he's been, he's had some success, whether it was Arkansas State, whether it was Ole Miss, Liberty. He's had success in this system.
Sure.
I have a hard time believing this system fails at his 4th stop as a head coach.
Yeah, it's just I would just argue that the teams on the other side of the football are going to have something to say about whether that system fails or succeeds. And there are 2 more there that have been doing it at a high level for a while, ready to stop you.
Sure.
Right? You've got 2 playoff participants on your schedule. I'm sorry, you've got 1. But you got another one in conference. You got Oklahoma on your schedule. They're coming, and Auburn has not had a good history of Oklahoma.
No.
You have got Missouri team that finished in the top 10 on your schedule, right? You've got a Georgia team that probably should have made the playoff. We sat down with Greg Sankey today, like a couple hours ago, and he said, listen, man, I believe Georgia was the best team in college football last year.
Yeah.
Alabama made it, but the commissioner of the SEC said he thought that Georgia was the best team in college football last year. You got these teams on your schedule, so they will have a say in how this plays out as well, too. And you have to be consistently better than them. And so while it has worked everywhere you went, also what's happened is there have been some amazing wins and some baffling losses.
Sure.
So that's the Hugh Freeze that you hope is left in the past, because Auburn has not wanted for baffling losses.
Well, baby steps, right? Crawl before
Sure.
you can walk. I don't want to see 1,700 pass yards from and Mike's lost his signal there. I don't want to see, and let's go to me. I don't want to see 1,700 yards of passing or 1,800 yards of passing from Payton Thorne in year 2. I want to see a significant step forward, something that resembles what we've known to be true about Hugh Freeze in prior seasons. So Let's get to some of you guys' comments. You guys have been in here. Chess Rockwell has become a member. Welcome, sir. I think you've been a member before, so welcome back. Daniel Denny says, off-topic question. Do you think the 2004 Auburn Tigers would have beaten the 2004 USC Trojans? Good question, Daniel. I think Auburn would have beaten them. I think there's enough motivation. Again, the year prior, USC blanked them in Jordan Hare. A lot of those guys returned in 2004. They remember that game. I think they would have gotten up for USC. Would have been an amazing game to see. We'll never know. But obviously, I'm going to lean towards Auburn in terms of beating USC, the 2004 version of USC. Oklahoma was frauds. They just made USC look incredible. They were just frauds. They had no business being in the game.
They were definitely frauds. And
Yeah.
I think that Jason White, was it Jason White?
Yes.
Was the quarterback of that team? No. Yeah, no.
Yeah, he was.
Jason White. Jason
He was.
White. Yeah. The dude won Heisman.
Yeah.
And they were complete frauds. Now, do I believe Auburn would have beaten USC? Hot take here, and I know a lot of people around here is no. Reggie Bush, Lindell White, Matt Leinart, like that team was ridiculous. Come on now. Like if we're keeping it, I think it would have been a better game than 55-19. And at best, I'm willing to say I don't know. I think it would have been a toss-up because Auburn also had 4 first-rounders on their team as well, too. As a matter of fact, they had 2 top 5 picks on that team. Right? The backup running back, which was Ronnie, technically, he was the backup. He went number 2 in the draft.
Right.
And Cadillac went 5. So, Jason Campbell.
Oh, the days when they were drafting running backs in the first round.
Oh, my goodness, right? Yeah. Carlos Rogers, who was the 9th pick in that draft, was the Thorpe Award winner.
Right.
So I definitely think they would have given USC a better game. If you remember, they played USC in 2002 and lost
3.
I think
two. They did play them in 2 on the road.
Right. Yeah, that was a 24-17 game. Now, 2003 was like goose at 23 to goose egg. It happens. But there was my point is that there was precedent there to say that Auburn could play a close game with them with the makeup of what USC was at the time. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, we get asked this question a lot, and I'm always like, well, you just never know where it would land up.
Never know. All right. Derek McClellan says a different point in 2024 is that people expect more out of him, so they see the new option he has around him in the new options he has around him in the offense now. Thoughts on that, Mike?
A different Payton Thorne 24 is that people expect more out of him, so they see the new options he has around him in the new offense. I think it's more about
the latter.
I think that there's a combination of both. Right. Yeah. Again, I'm not sure it's a new Payton Thorne. I think it's the Payton Thorne you expected, which was a guy who's going to throw the ball close to 400 times a year at the same clip
which
that
he's
he
done
did last year.
Which he's done before.
Yeah, right. And so if that guy comes back, if you don't look at the numbers, you'll think he got better. It's like, well, no, you just gave him his passes back. Now, he's got to protect the football, and I think that's one thing. Like, if the percentages hold true, as long as the interceptions don't go up and the turnovers don't go up, he is definitely a better Payton Thorne.
Obviously, we want to see less of the Payton Thorne that's staring down a defender or throwing a pick six out in the flat, those types of things. We want to see less of those types of mistakes that Payton Thorne has made, right?
Right.
If he's able to protect the football, I can live with him being low 60s completion percentage. I can live with it.
Yeah.
AJ Brand says, I think Hugh thought Montgomery could make Robbie play more like RG3.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
RG3.
I don't know.
RG3 ran a Heisman. So, yeah, sure. I mean,
I don't know what Hugh thought about Montgomery and what he could do.
Yeah, I think that, a guy who called plays all his career hired another guy who wanted to call plays.
I think that's Jabba. I think that has Jabba written all over it, Mike.
Yeah.
He sold it well to us. He
He
said when he got here, he's been a play caller. He wants the way college is moving today. He wants to kind of take a, hands-off approach. Let someone else with fresh ideas. Remember, he sold it.
He did.
But he needs to sell us on the idea of him taking the job back and calling plays, because clearly that's his ministry. Then Daniel Dilley says, I hope Payton Thorne proves the haters wrong. Hope he does too. If he does prove the haters wrong, that means that's a positive sign for Auburn in 2024. Yeah. Auburn Dad for Life says 8-4 should be the floor, Mike. So Hugh should be able to get 1 to 2 more can happen.
Should be and will be are two different things. Yeah, 8-4 should be the floor. Absolutely. I think that Auburn is the type of place where 8-4 should be a bad season. But unfortunately, history has taught us that 8-4 is par for the course. And right now they're in a position where they're struggling to get back to that level. Think about this, man. 3 straight years of losing seasons. You know, and listen, I know we give Gus a hard time, but he consistently found a way to be just above mediocre.
Yeah.
Just above mediocre Gus. Got you 8 wins, 9 wins sometimes. Then he tantalized you with a shot at a championship and then fail when he got there. and we're saying those were the good old days. Hugh has to do way better than that if he wants to be a long-term coach at Auburn, because we've seen consistent 8-4, 9-3 before. That wasn't good enough.
And I think that followed the magical first year of Gus as well, where he took us to the national championship and we were so close to winning it all, right? For years, Auburn was hopeful that, hey, maybe that wasn't a flash in the pan. Maybe that wasn't lightning just striking and everything coming together. Gus can get us back. And so those teaser years were, see, he can get us there. He can get back to where he was. And there was more years of him being slightly better than mediocre, that's who he was.
Yep.
Obviously, the promise with Hugh Freeze and what he's able to do recruiting, his system, and some of the success he's had, we want to be better than that. And we'll see what happens moving forward. Brad Browning says Montgomery was a fraud. Browse made RG3 a Heisman, not Montgomery.
All right.
I
don't have an answer for this.
Who am I to disagree with?
I don't have an answer for this. Yeah.
Right. TK says we saw and watched the film that there were wide open receivers all season. For whatever reason, Payton Thorne didn't throw to them. That has to change.
Yeah, this is part of the Payton Thorne improvement. Like I said, it wasn't all on Payton, but there were some things that he could do better, and this was one of them. Right. Yeah. So he's got to find open guys. Can he make that step? Sure. In talking to Josh Pate today, and we put that interview out. He was just like, he's kind of like, well, I don't know. This guy's, some guys have already shown you what they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I do think that there can be, somebody said about Jason Campbell at one point, and he turned it around in his last year and went on to be a decent NFL QB. It's a long shot. It's not likely, but it's possible. And I think, this is where Auburn is trying. Auburn is trying to get out of hoping for miracles to succeed. Right. It's the miracle. It's always the miracle every time something good happens. And, miracles, need to become more common around here so that we stop calling them miracles and we just start calling it football.
Right. One last one here. Habersham Jim. Hope I didn't butcher the name there. If Payton doesn't pan out against a stronger opponent, which game will Coach Freeze pull the trigger and play Hank?
This is another question I think that you're going to hear a lot tomorrow. And it has been a question on our live stream. It's been a question on social media. It's, okay, you put your weight behind Payton Thorne, but if he is the same guy or worse, when do you pull the plug? And, when is it fair to presumably Hank Brown right now? I haven't counted Holden Gurner completely out, but, for whoever's the backup is to throw them in there. But, how long do you give Payton to get it together? So, do you give him until New Mexico? and then start a new guy versus Arkansas? Is it halftime at Arkansas? Do you give Payton all of Arkansas and then say, oh, well, now that Oklahoma's here are the reins? Is that fair? Like, and if you're that guy, this conversation can't matter to you, right? Like, if you're Hank Brown or Holden Gerner, this conversation can't matter to you. You just you gotta go play when you get called, and you have to be that guy whenever your number is called. But from the fan perspective, the media perspective, is absolutely a talking point, right? Are you setting those guys up to fail by not giving them time to adjust to being the guy when they've had so little chance to do so at this level?
Does Auburn have to lose a game that it should win in order for us to see that change?
That's a great question. And this is when Brian, I know he hasn't been on the show in a while, but like, this is something we used to argue about, right? I think the better coaches can pull the plug before it becomes a disaster. Think about it. Even Saban last year tried the other guy just in case Milroe wasn't going to be the dude. Now, Milroe ended up coming around, but Tyler Buchner got a chance to bench Milroe essentially, and he didn't get it done. And so they went back to him, and Tyler didn't get another shot, but he got a shot. He got a shot, and relatively early in the season.
We will definitely see for sure. We'll definitely see if how this pans out. I don't know. I guess if Hugh Freeze has control of his offense in year 2 and things aren't going the way he thinks, maybe he makes that pivot sooner and avoids a disaster. He doesn't wait for disaster to unfold before he pivots away. We'll see how this. I am hopeful that it doesn't come down to that, right? Because obviously there may be a sense of panic if you're having to pivot before you enter into the gauntlet or the teeth of your schedule.
Correct.
Because it doesn't get you're not giving Hank easy layup games to get his feet up under him. He's going into the lion's den off rip if you're putting him in as the starter at that point in the season. So
absolutely,
you hope to avoid that, and Thorne is the guy that Hugh Freeze says he is. We definitely want to hear from you guys as you're watching on replay. Don't forget, as you're watching, to share this video. Please be sure to smash that like button. And if you are new to our channel, welcome. Please subscribe. Let's pause, pay some bills, and we will come back and discuss some other comments Hugh Freeze has made about his offense.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
Guys, you know the deal. Green Name Gang in the chat, and lots of y'all in there. I see some black names. We need to turn that black into green. Hit that join button, $5.99 a month. Become a part of our community and help us keep this content going at a high level. We've been putting out more content than anybody from SEC Media Days other than the SEC Network. And that's just how we do things here at the War Report. So help us continue that. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button, guys. Let's see if we can get about 20 memberships gifted between now and the end of this live stream in about 22 minutes. This helps keep the work that we're doing here going. If you guys want more coverage like this live from there, we're giving you guys a voice. We listen to our community. We ask the questions that you guys want answered. And you know, gift a membership, help somebody else join that and make that voice louder. Check us out on podcasts, every single podcast network. You can find us bringing you lots of great audio only content. Definitely want to thank title sponsor, the Opelika Rage Room. Check them out at 1510 2nd Ave, Opelika, Alabama. Or if you're in the Birmingham area, check them out at 2616 7th Ave South in Birmingham, Alabama. This is a unique opportunity to go and break some shit. They got windshields and car seats and china and Tupperware. And I mean, if you've never hit a windshield with a bat, it is oddly satisfying. But you can get that chance at the Opelika Rage Room or the Birmingham Rage Room. You see the addresses there on the screen. Please go check them out. Also, this show is brought to you in large part by JOYMODE. Let's call out the obvious. Everyone wants to head into the bedroom with confidence, feeling like the best version of themselves. But the problem is sometimes our thoughts get in the way. Sometimes, Caesar, you start thinking about 4th and 31 when you're in the moment. And that kills the vibe.
That is a lot.
It kills the vibe. That's where our friends over at JOYMODE come in. Help, you can stop 4th and 31 by visiting usejoymode.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code rapport. It comes in a palm-sized packet, like your favorite electrolyte powder. Stir it in 6 to 8 ounces of water and 45 minutes before, that special activity. Watch the magic happen. Not only is this the only supplement you'll need in the bedroom, but it also supports your blood vessels, cardiovascular health, athletic performance, and blood pressure and more. Even on days when you're not doing the deed, you can take SPB to boost nitric oxide in your body, which not only supports your erection quality long-term, but also increases blood flow. Visit usejoymode.com, use code rapport for 24% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, if you're thinking about 4th and 31, you need to get up from the bedroom and head down to the Rage Room. On the way home, get some Rogue Shop, and then use JOYMODE because now you're chill and ready to enjoy some alone time with your lady. All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of our sponsors. Mike, somebody who sounds like someone who rhymes with Spike Lee.
Okay.
Asked Hugh Freeze a question about
it's a thing act.
Yeah. Asked Hugh Freeze a question about a certain receiver in Cam Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
He has some interesting things to say. Let's play that clip. We'll come back and discuss it.
All right, nice one.
Coach, one of the themes of the week with media days has been Cam Coleman. People are excited. They're talking about starting dynasty modes on the game with Cam Coleman. Talk about the passing game headed into fall camp and what you hope to accomplish. What benchmarks do you hope to hit based on where you finished last year in the passing game with 1,700 yards from your starting quarterback?
Yeah, to me, that's not good football. 1,700 yards, and I don't. Last year's over. We're a different team. Cam is going to be special. Again, I've coached a lot of really good receivers, and we signed A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Van Jefferson, all in the same class. They're all still in the NFL doing really well. But I'll tell you, year one, all three of them were not exactly ready to go and do it. I mean, we redshirted Van, and DK didn't play an enormous amount of snaps. AJ was a little more ready now. But that's what we got into coaching for, is to develop these great athletes like Cam now. Cam's going to play in year one. He's earned it. He came out of spring practice. He's one of the better players on the team. I just want everybody to give him a little patience too as he grows up and learns the game and has to go play in the SEC environments. But I'm glad he has hype around him. That means we're recruiting the right kind of kids.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze talked about the fact that Cam is indeed a special player.
Yep.
Remains to be seen if he is going to be SEC ready, football ready in year one. Talk to me about your thoughts about what Hugh Freeze says about this offense. He already talked about 1,700 yards passing as bad football. Obviously, he intends to correct that in year two. Your thoughts?
That is such an interesting clip to me. Now, he says he's glad he has hype because it means they're recruiting the right type of kids. Look, man, at the end of the day, you can't have one without the other, right? The hype is going to come with certain expectations. That's what happens when you recruit a top 5 kid in all of college, high school football. Sure. Right. And he's going to come with expectations. I think Hugh Freeze understands this, but he also understands that there could be some growing pains in case it takes some time to figure it out. And you want to leave a margin of error there for him. And, I'm with him on that as well, too. Now, I'm on the record saying that if Auburn fans start screaming Cam Coleman as a bust because he struggles a little bit to start, I'm going to lose my mind. We're going to get demonetized. I'm going to curse every show somebody leaves that comment because it is a completely ridiculous notion. He is not a bust. The only way that he doesn't live up to his potential is if Auburn fails him in my book. That's the most likely. Now, if he gets in off the field trouble, which there's no indication that he's going to do that. He's a good kid. He comes from a good family. Then okay, maybe. But the chances of Cam Coleman busting have to be next to zero. Now, maybe he's not all world, but he's definitely better than average, and he's definitely going to help your football team in ways that most guys will not. So, I'm sorry. I'm with you on this one. Like, you afford him some grace because Hugh Freeze understands how vicious the mob can be. And he's seen that mob come for his quarterback. He's seen him come for other players on every team he's ever coached. And he's not dumb enough to think that Cam Coleman is going to be immune from the mob.
Right.
And the mob is they're unforgiving and they're unkind sometimes when it comes to young players that just need a chance to adjust to the game. I think that part of this is, and he's not saying this part out loud, but I honestly believe that Hugh Freeze understands that if they don't have it together, Cam may not look great. And so while they're figuring it out, he wants people to give his quarterback grace. That's a good thing. You absolutely need to give your quarterback grace. You need to give your receiver grace. You need to give some of these guys a little bit of grace while you're figuring it out. And so, it can turn into this thing. This is why you get paid $6 million to do this job, because managing this is an impossible task for most people. And the better coaches manage the expectations that come with recruiting high-profile kids, and then when they don't perform as expected immediately, keeping their head in the game, not letting the rat poison get to them, not letting them get too down on themselves, and getting production out of them. That's what the best coaches in college football do. They figure out ways to get their guys' heads in the game and keep them in the game. And when they have a bad game, when they have a bad pass, you forget it and you go out there and you throw the next good pass. If you're Cam Coleman, if you drop a pass, you forget that quickly and you go out and you make the next play. Because you know what? The better wide receivers in college football season, they all drop passes.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors dropped hella passes last year in critical moments as well, too. He got so many opportunities to catch the ball that you don't remember the passes that he dropped, because he was one play away from making the next play. Auburn's receivers were bereft of opportunities to make the next play. So every time they didn't make a play, fans went nuts. Our receivers can't catch. They're terrible. They should have never been born. That's all we heard.
Never been born is wild.
I'm telling you, dude, this is how extreme people were about the receivers.
Yeah.
And they weren't all world. But a good system can take average receivers and make them look on and put them in the draft. And don't tell me it can't be done, because Lincoln Riley has been doing it for years while producing Heisman winners. Give me a break. Auburn wasn't scheming guys open last year. There were guys open at times, and yes, sometimes Thorne missed them. But for the most part, what did we hear all the time? These guys can't create separation. Well, you know what? Not every receiver is going to be elite at creating separation.
Right.
The scheme has to find holes in the defense and put the receiver there, and then the quarterback has to find them in that hole. And the scheme didn't do that a lot last year. That's where I think Hugh Freeze is going to be better, where Derek Nix adds to the equation, and that's going to help Payton Thorne. That's going to help these receivers, and you're going to see a better version of everybody next year with a better scheme. People hate when I talk about scheme. They're just like, oh, but any scheme can work if you execute it. No, wrong. That is
Not necessarily, yeah.
right, because there's a team on the other side actively trying to stop what you're trying to do. So if you don't have the right scheme for the defense that's out there, you're making it, but you're essentially telling players that they have to go out there and they have to win every single one-on-one battle. And if you have 55 stars, sure. But that's
Right.
a small task
Right.
for any player.
Right.
Your players in better positions to win, and they will win more than they lose. Auburn has to be better at that. I will die on that hill, man. You know, and this is where I don't let Freeze off. I love a lot of things that Hugh Freeze does. I do, and he can coach football. He knows football, man. This guy knows football. Is he infallible? No. Are we going to talk about it? Yes. So, you know, that accountability has to be there for what this system failed to do last year. And don't tell me it was all the players, because you fired the offensive coordinator. Somebody had to fall on the sword for what happened last year. So if it was all the players, then why did you fire coaches?
Right.
You got rid of Lack. You got rid of Philip Montgomery. You got rid of guys because you know that the coaching did not meet the standard that it needed to put guys in positions to consistently succeed. Hugh has to solve that, and that's what I want to hear from him tomorrow at Media Days. We own this. We own the result that we put on the field for you, the fan, last year. You showed up. You were enthusiastic. You screamed at the top of your lungs. You bought tickets. You bought concessions. You traveled. You did everything we asked you to do, and we fucked it up. I was at the Music City Bowl. Now, Auburn has a pretty good alumni contingent in Nashville. You know,
Yeah, of course.
Right? But people showed up. It wasn't a great day, Caesar. It was cold, and it was rainy, and fans came out. And the product that you put on the field sucked. Hank Brown came in at the end and said, whoa, wait a minute. It might not be the players as much as we thought.
Right.
He just made plays. But come on, man. And then after the game was over, he got in front of the media and said, I was too busy recruiting to be involved in the game planning until the week of. What? He learned from that, too. I think he learned from that, too.
That was wild. That was a wild day.
It was so wild, man. I was sitting there listening to it, and you know how we are in press conferences. I've just got my computer open, and I'm transcribing essentially and tweeting it out so you guys can follow what's happening in the press conference in case you're not watching it, because they're not always televised. I get in my car, and I'm headed back down the road from Nashville to Auburn. And before I could get to the first charging stop, my phone was blowing up, and people were like, man, your tweet about what Frey said is going crazy. Lane Kiffin was retweeting it. Like, other players were retweeting it. It was like, wait, what? I in my head, it never registered me how crazy what he said was. But 1 million impressions later, it was making headlines. So think about how that went nuts there, Caesar. That is the effect that it had on those guys.
Yeah.
What a deflating loss. Now, I went on 3-man front a couple months ago, I guess it was now. And, you know, people didn't like this, but I said, if you compare his year one to Harson's year one, outside of recruiting, it wasn't better. He had quarterback problems like crazy. You finished 6-7. You had a heartbreaking loss to Alabama at home, embarrassing bowl loss, and a mediocre bowl. And to boot, you added a loss to a G5 team.
Yeah.
Show me where it was better. And at what point during that season did you think Auburn's about to take off? You didn't. It never got there. So, you know, he's got to turn all this around. I believe he can do it. I know he can do it. And I think he's introspective enough to have learned from a lot of these mistakes and make something different out of it. I think that he can do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear tomorrow. I want to hear that you've learned, right? And that you've made the adjustment and that you're going to move this thing forward.
We will definitely see. Hugh Freeze was business-like last year, in and out. Nothing major said. But again, I think this is going to be a very interesting media days for him as he's responding to a 6-7 season in year one, and what can Auburn fans expect from him and Auburn's football and the product they put on the field in year two.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he addresses that and what is said. Also, too, what Payton Thorne says. Again, all the questions stemming around him. How does he address that and handle that? Do we see examples of the leadership that Hugh Freeze has praised him about all season long? As Mike's camera goes out, we will definitely he's back. Let's get to some of the questions here, or some of the comments here that we've seen from some of you guys. Robert Smith says, if he was that good, he would have been put in the game with meaningful time, not saying he's bad. Who's he referring to?
Maybe Hank Brown.
Maybe, I guess.
Yeah. Robert, let us know.
Philip Coleman says Payton Thorne should have taken JOYMODE before the games. He probably would have had the confidence to throw to a wide open receiver. Oof.
They do tout athletic performance. Mental acuity. I don't know. JOYMODE. Let us know if mental acuity is part of that. I'll send Payton a couple packs.
TK says Hank Brown is for real. I don't know what you need to see. His coach says so. Ken Austin says so. Trent Dilfer says so. And so does the eye test for decades, in my opinion. He looked impressive, man. He looked impressive. And he's a gunslinger. He's willing to make those throws that you want a ball player or a gunslinger to make. He is definitely that and then some. Robert Smith says, I don't know why Freeze has the confidence in any QB on the roster. He was hard-headed about the portal. Your thoughts there, Mike?
I don't know that he was hard-headed about the portal more so than he was just realistic about the portal. You make decisions and you have to live with the consequences of those decisions. So you went out and you got a quarterback in Payton Thorne. Payton Thorne, guys, didn't cost him nothing. It cost him real American dollars, whole USD that they had to pay for Payton Thorne. And when he didn't perform similarly to the pros, you don't immediately go out and spend that money again on the same thing that you just bought. You wait to see if it works out. This is where NIL is bringing pro problems into college sports. Right? Like, you invest $50 million in a quarterback, and I know the numbers are not the same, but relative to their impact, they kind of are. Because no college is spending $50 million on a player. Right? So, it just is what it is here. Like, they made an investment in Payton Thorne, and to some extent, for him to go back to the money people and say, I need another QB, and that's going to cost me $1 million, that wasn't tenable. So he was stuck. In year two. He was stuck. I think he was stuck. So I don't know that he was hard-headed about it. I think that he made a decision. He got who was available at the time. And you have to remember, Auburn was not exactly an attractive destination for top portal QBs when he took over the program.
Right.
You have to make it into a place where people want to come. And people fell into the trap, Caesar, of thinking that money was going to be able to get you anything you wanted. No, guys still want to play for a winner.
Right.
Any kid that is worth a damn that you want is not going to come solely because of money. Because if he's that good, the money's equal everywhere. So I'm still going to the program that has the winner. It's got the good system, and it's got the thing that I believe in.
That's going to help me reach and achieve my goals.
That's it. I'm going to get the money anywhere if I'm that good. If I'm worth it. So to go get a quarterback better than Payton Thorne, it would have been it was going to be very, very hard to do, which is why we said they're not going to pick up a portal QB. We knew it. We knew it from other things that had been told to us, and they didn't do it. You know, I think that people are thinking with their hearts when they say this. And I love Robert, man. I appreciate him being part of our community. I'm just saying, I think that this is a very fan-ish take, right? Like, you know, he was hard-headed about the portal. A lot of people wanted another QB, and it just was not going to happen.
And I understand. I mean, I understand. To your point, I understand what your eyes were telling you in the bowl game.
Sure, yeah,
that would make you sick, because even Hugh Freeze he wasn't as definitive and gung ho about Payton Thorne after that loss, right? Even he made it sound like we'll see what happens, right? However, Josh Payton made a great point, is that you go get a portal QB if that's all you need.
Yeah.
If you're a QB away from really competing and making a splash, go get your QB. Auburn is not a portal QB away. Auburn is still building its program, and Hugh Freeze knows that, and he generally likes to do that from the high school ranks.
Yeah.
So if you're still building something here and everyone is still aligned and everyone still trusts you, do it the way you've known to do it. And stop. And you don't want to keep going to the well.
Yeah.
Over something that's uncertain as a QB when you know you want to do it from high school. And I think too, Mike, when we talk about the Cam Colemans, how important, because Hugh Freeze mentioned that, you know, the guys he's coached who are in the NFL now, they weren't ready day one, right? They had to grow into their role. How important then does that make the Keandre Lambert Smiths of the world?
Right.
How important is the Robert Lewises of the world, other receivers that Hugh Freeze brought in who have playing experience, who has, in Robert Lewis's case, shown that he can be a serviceable receiver in this offense. How important are those guys helping the newer kids out of high school get acclimated quickly?
Yeah, really important, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you brought Lambert Smith in because he helps you fill the gap until Perry and Malcolm and Bryce Kane catch up.
Yeah.
Right? He helps take a lot of the pressure off of Cam Coleman on the other side of the field as a guy who can catch the ball and do a lot of the things that you think you were missing last year at receiver. So, you know, those guys are really important. You know, I think that's what the portal is good for. You've got talent, but you need to fill the gaps here until guys catch up. So we'll see.
Robert Smith comes back and says, yes, was talking about Hank.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Steve Bradley says, LL, Carson Beck said Jordan Hare is cursed. He told Oklahoma QB to be aware told him to beware at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, it's funny.
The Georgia players and coaches have been pretty complimentary of Jordan Hare for sure.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, there is certainly something there that is just, it's tough. Do you remember after the prayer in Jordan Hare? I think I never forget that shot of Aaron Murray like slamming his helmet on the ground in disbelief because they thought they had pulled off the comeback. Jordan Hare has something magical, man, and it worked against them last year, I think, in the Iron Bowl. But Oklahoma, hopefully, we'll see the other end of that come Game 5.
Well, I mean, even in losses, I mean, Georgia, Alabama, they just didn't look like themselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
coming in, even if you do win, it's a struggle win, right, against Auburn, and that's just kind of what it's been when Auburn has those home games, and I think Auburn feeds off the fan base, the electricity, all of the energy there. Auburn plays at a level sometimes beyond what we may have seen of them all season. You just hope that as Auburn improves, they're able to capitalize on that and take advantage of some of those games moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike G, tell the folks Good conversation, by the way. Tell the folks how they can get a green name or gift a green name, sir.
Hey, man, hit that join button. Join our green name gang. Also, you can give the Gift Award Report by hitting that gifted membership button to help somebody else get a green name. You guys have been doing this. We appreciate it. Also, listen to us on podcasts, every single podcast platform, the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec, bringing you guys lots of audio-only content. Want to thank show sponsors, Vintage 2298, Restaurant and Butcher Shop. If you've been watching the clips we've been putting out from Media Days, Vintage has sponsored a lot of that content, so we appreciate them for being longtime sponsors of the War Report. Please go visit them if you're in the Auburn area and looking for a good meal. A great date night as well, too. They do a lot of things very well over there. We appreciate our guy Randall Baldwin for sponsoring us here at the War Report. Also, this show is brought to you in part by JOYMODE. Visit usejoymode.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. If you use code rapport, show your lady a special time when it's time to do the deed by visiting joymode.com and using code rapport to get 20% off plus free shipping. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank show sponsor Opelika Rage Room. They're a title sponsor, great partners of ours. Visit them in Opelika at 1510 2nd Avenue in Opelika, Alabama, or if you're in the Birmingham area, 2616 7th Ave South in Birmingham, Alabama. You can book parties. You can do all kinds of things there. They have a paint room at the Rage Room where you can just go slaying paint at a wall. It's weirdly fun, but that's what the Rage Room is about. It's about weird fun, and they've got that down in spades. So we appreciate them for sponsoring us. When you get there, tell them that the War Report sent you, man, and they'll hook you up with a little something, something.
And before you get out of here, we would greatly appreciate it if you share this video and smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. On social media, you can follow us on X, Twitter, IG at the War Report. You can also find us on TikTok at TW Report. That's it for now. Big day tomorrow. Auburn takes the stage.
Yes.
So a lot of coverage coming from Ike and Mike there. So stay tuned to some of that content. Good stuff from the players and coaches. So more content on the way. We will definitely keep you posted. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. And as always, real.
Where you go?